Just a regular old audio jack. Just a regular old audio jack. I could hear that cycle. Cool. Alrighty then, let us get started calling out to the lovely whomever watches this in the future. Hello, you. You are wonderful, even if, I'm not talking to you directly at this moment right now, but I'm not sure. Time travel. So hello. Alright, this is Flow Channel. Or, that's what we do. This is Game Flow. Game Flow is a video game group where we talk about flow states and try to find them through video games and eventually outside of normal stuff, outside of the gaming space. Now, I'm going to be responding to questions that I got. This is a very small poll, but one that I care about very much because it was basically me asking a few people, could you give me a heads up on what it was that you want extra information on that we've talked about last week? And being that there was like 5 or 6 of you total, it makes sense that there's about 5 that actually said anything. And I really appreciate that. That might seem like a jab, but I'm like, no, you're giving me information. So it's been able to help me split down into the kind of things that people were curious about and understanding. So we had flow state, why games help with flow state, what are good enough choices in maintaining in the 80% rule, and then also flow state and pain relief, entering flow to relieve pain. Hello, Damien, and it's nice to see you. Welcome. Smiley face, huh? Yeah, it's good to see you. So I'm going to be talking about this one right here today. Violet, you too. Hey, Violet. Yeah, we'll be talking about this one specifically, but there's all these, there's basically the whole thing will be interesting to kind of do discussions on. Point being that I want to make sure that you, Damien, you, Violet, whoever else watches this in the future, have a better grasp of whatever it is that we're discussing flow state-wise. So let's hit this one right here, but before I jump into it, Damien, Violet, hello. How are you doing today? Was there something that you felt put you in a flow state recently? Or if you just want to say, I'm doing all right, that's cool too. Feel free to answer that, and then I'm going to just continue on with our chatting. I'm going to leave soon. I'm going to leave soon because, says Damien, no worries. You're here and that's awesome. And when you go, you have school. That's very important. I was going to say more important, but yeah, I think so. I think that's fine. Thank you for coming by. But I'm going to break this part down now. The flow state depending on 80% rule and good enough choices. Right here. Let me duck. Yeah. Cool. So the idea that makes this work. Well, let me go to the big one because I feel like I'm going to be chatting for a second. I want to make sure I can make this as clear as I can possibly get. So, flow states, these are my notes on this side. There's a lot of stuff there, but really we could break it down into something particularly simple. Let's talk about the crossbow bolt and firing it. And we'll do it by just starting this up real quick. Let me know if it's a little loud. I'll make sure that it doesn't get in the way. To be honest, I feel pretty garbage today, but I actually got into a flow state by playing Elite. Awesome. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more about it because we're going to talk about specifically that 80% rule with flow state. I'll start this up with the crossbow thing. but as it's going, I'll start the explanation too. So when you are taking a crossbow in Call of Duty, you take a shot, right? And then you try to hit your opponent. Now, if I, as a player, were only going to wait for when I was 100% sure I was going to hit my shot, well, that's really hard to get into that, right? Because people are running, or I'm being shot at, and they're being shot at. There's cover, there's a bunch of things that get in the way, besides the fact of the weird arc of the crossbow and even my skill level. So if I'm going to go and try to fire a crossbow, I'm not going to be able to be sure that I can get that 100% shot, and then also consistently make lots of shots. So I try to bring it to the 80%, which is right somewhere in there. Hank Green's 80% rule. I'm normally about 80% sure that it's a smart shot. I don't know if I'm going to hit it, but I'm pretty confident that it's an okay shot. Not perfectly confident, just like I think this is going to be close enough. And the reason why I'm doing that is because to have a really good flow state, you need to have consistent feedback to learn from. And this is one of the things that I think is particularly fascinating. Feedback is a major part of what makes flow states work. Let's demonstrate a little bit with the game. Game live stream, whoop, transition. So I'm gonna just be shooting at someone. Actually, you know what? We don't even need a person for this. We're gonna just use this lovely rock right over here, right? So if I'm firing and trying to get better at shooting, I need to fire a lot to be able to actually have the experience and knowledge about what is a good shot and what isn't a good shot. But if I'm waiting for that perfect shot, that 100% I'm convinced is a good shot, I won't be taking the chances. I won't be practicing enough to be able to know if it's actually a good shot or not. I don't get the experience required. So the more shots that I take, the more aware I become on how the crossbow bolt flies, how quickly it flies, how much I need to lead in front of someone when I'm using the crossbow bolt. And those things slowly build. No, the lag. Sorry, Damien. And that slowly builds the skill level, my ability to know when I'm gonna make a shot or not. So if you can imagine at some point, I'm gonna fix that little break in reality right there. There we go. So if you can imagine taking a shot when I originally at 80% was like, I don't know if this is a good shot. But after taking 100 shots, I'm now way more aware of what a good shot looks like. Well, my 80% sureness is going to be a lot higher and more likely to succeed than my original 80% sureness, right? Because I started to get the practice to fire more. I'm going to start the dive in now. Make sure this isn't too loud. Sometimes it comes a little loud. We're good. It's actually a little quiet. Last time we actually had a friend up here, and so I'm going to take a bit from them. See if we can get inside. Perfect. So taking this opportunity to stand still and think about that shot thing, see if there's anybody I can practice this with to be a good demonstrator. We're going to use, how about that little car over there, right? So if I'm like, okay, is this the perfect shot? Pretty good. See if I can make just one higher. There we go. Okay, that wasn't as good, so I'm gonna aim a little higher. Heading towards the top. Major goal here, being able to understand the arc of the crossbow shot. So when we talk about 80% rules and that kind of thing, I'm talking about things that are related to the concept of, like, it's not perfect, but you need the feedback in order to access that flow state. You need to have a consistent information of, are you succeeding or are you failing? Because if you're doing this along the player skill and you have no idea if you're even meeting the challenge, you can't really find the center. It's kind of like if you were painting, right? Can you imagine painting, but not being able to see what it is that you're painting at all? Like not even knowing where like the canvas or paper is. You don't know what color you're using. You don't know if anybody likes it. You're just doing this with your eyes closed, hoping you're actually touching something. But over time, if someone even just showed you the finished product, over time you'd start to remember where you touched things or what colors could have been where, and eventually you get better and you start knowing what's happening. Eventually that feedback provides you the information you need to know in order to improve. But of course, painting, you actually can see the color and you can see the stroke as you're making it. In the same way, you can see the shot of the crossbow when you're making it. So it's important to be taking those shots. That's where 80% is important for me, because it makes sure that I don't get caught up in making a perfect shot. I get caught up very rarely in just making shots that, even though they're imperfect, I know I'll get better. Always checking in stuff sounds super helpful. Yeah, the idea that you want to sort of check in how it's doing, I guess is that the way that you're kind of imagining it? Because I could see it follow into that too. This game feels really good. I just jumped into it. It's a nice reminder. Like, oh yeah, I like how it feels. I have a couple more points related to 80% rule because it works in moment-to-moment decisions, as well as sort of bigger meta ones, which we will hop into once. Actually, Violet, tell me, how would you apply to the 80% to you? And you, Damien, how would you apply it to you? And anyone else in chat, even if you're quiet, how do you would you apply it to something like Call of Duty or a game you're playing at the moment? And I'm going to keep talking while you think about that. And then when you respond, I'll respond to that chat comment. But just to fill in the quiet. I was surprised I actually managed to get that shot off before the person even killed us. Honestly surprised. That was a situation where we were really just sort of strolling through the battlefield being like, whatever. No major big cares at the moment. We haven't turned on our battle hats yet. Hello. Rip, I zoned out there for a minute. Oh, don't worry, Violet. That's A-okay. Do you want me to re-ask the question, or are you good? See, I'm looking over my notes real quick, too. But I think what I'll do is I'm just going to start pushing a little bit in the game again. I got the game and died so many times. It's a fun game. Alright, so this is a perfect example of taking a shot when it's perfect. We took out the whole team. That's pretty fun. So you see how I waited a little bit to fire? Well, that was a situation where I waited to get to that 80%. But it's definitely a lot easier to do that when you have people who just weren't moving. As in that situation, no one was moving. So I was able to take more time to make the perfect shot. But I still had to move faster. Otherwise, there's that chance I just would have missed it all up. Really appreciate that they just left all this for me. Did you kill each other at the same time? I did, Damien. That was pretty funny. But that was actually a good example of when, if I had waited 100% for those other two players, then I probably wouldn't have had a chance to get those two shots and actually hit the targets. If I was better, which I'm going to get better because I took the moment to, try, I would have been able to take out all those opponents without actually being taken out myself. That was very fun, too. Just for the record, probably this would have been a better weapon of choice. But I definitely enjoyed trying that one out. Bounty poached. Thank you, stranger. Alright, I'm gonna do this climb. Ooh, hello. If we do this climbing one, this speedy one over here, it'll give us the opportunity to buy one of the buy station options and get it for, get a balloon out of it for really inexpensive. So we're gonna make a run for it. Deposit with the balloon. Is the crossbow my favorite weapon? It isn't, but it's so fun that maybe it is in a way. We'll talk a little bit more about the 80% stuff for a meta discussion, but I would say that it hits most of the things that I like to see when I'm playing a game and goofing off with explosions and stuff, because it's a weapon that can include extra types of damage, like explosion, I'm hearing people to our right. Like explosions or fire or tear gas, and I really like having a status effect as well. And so it's not the best weapon. It's just fun. Just a good time weapon. And I think it fits really well for the idea of like, what is flow state? Oh wow, we got a minute to go. Here, we can get that truck and we might be able to actually make it. Alright. Up. Hello, truck. Please drive us to the spot. We have 50 seconds.
I'll drive.
If we get there, it's gonna be a good day. Hey, look at us. Contract complete. Give ourselves a very inexpensive balloon. Just store some of our points, because we can. Perfect. I'm very pleased that our 3 kills that we have above was just an entire team who wasn't paying attention to us. Such joy. Alright, see if I can get this and deposit the last bit of cash in. Cannot. Yeah, thank you, Damien, that people are not watching the stream or missing out on the learning. That's okay. Downed? There you go, friend. That's fun. So I'm surprised that we actually didn't completely down or like complete the person. But it's important to note that too, that individual didn't die from the actual arrow. They got knocked down from the fire, so they could still shoot at us. All right, so I think somewhere in here we should have a person. I think I just saw them through there. I'm gonna try to leave this truck as bait, because if they go for the truck, I mean, well, we could just shoot it real quick, and it will slowly be destroyed. Fun. Picking up our armor plates. Now we have 5 again.
Enemy soldier incoming.
All right, person to our right coming down. There they are. Oh! Shoot. Oh, you're ballooning it, and you just saw me perfectly waiting there. Done. Alright, so for Violet or for Damien, question. How was my explanation about taking shots, that 80% thing? Did it make sense to you? I'm curious about your feedback on this. It's helpful for me. Oh, that person's dead. Just borrow this real quick. Thank you. Ow, he burned me slightly with my own fire.
Okay.
Oh, they just revived themselves. Can't revive yourself now. Okay, let's go hide in the car real quick.
I'm driving.
Wow, that was a good drive.
I'm driving.
Things aren't looking very good, but I gave myself enough space to get out.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Oof, missed that one.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
I hear them above. I'm being quiet because I want to make sure I can get this. Oh, I got out of my zoomed in at the wrong moment. That would have been a good shot, but unfortunately, There we go. That should kill them too. It's very funny to see that moment where the person is shot and they're like, haha, I got you, but then they get knocked down too. It's not the best thing to do, but it's certainly fun. Oh, it's that same person. Look at us, we're being best friends and playing together. Go back to the arrow. Just drop that there. Oh, I missed that one. Oops. So when we talk about flow states and feedback, these shots I'm taking, I'm kind of, again, I'm shooting ahead of time before I know that it's a good time to shoot. But that's okay. Like, we're learning. That's the point. All right, we can take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about the very big meta concepts of 80% stuff. Let me quickly turn off my audio for people who are listening in Xbox. These poor individuals hear me die and then I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, ho, ho, chat, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, it's a streamer. So when we're talking about stuff related to the meta of like 80% rule, one of the ways that I talk about it, and I'll bring up the game when we're doing this demonstration too, is that the 80% rule is also the idea that perfection is subjective. So now this refers to the concept of like, what is the best gun to use for you as a player, right? Like, I don't know what the best gun is. I don't know what the best gun is for me. I don't know what's the most fun. I don't know what is the thing that works best with my skill level. I'm not sure. But that's where we start breaking things down through 80%, right? So if I'm trying to decide the perfect gun for me, and I'm going to the loadout, and let's just grab Cowman, that one, right? Well, up at the very top, you see that I could do an assault rifle, an SMG, a shotgun, an LMG, a tactical rifle, a marksman, a sniper rifle. Like, which one do I choose? Well, this is where the first part of the 80% rule becomes really helpful, because it's just like, choose one. Just pick something. Pick something you think you like. And so it's like, I guess I'm into short range, so I'll choose shotgun or SMG. And it's like, okay, just try to pick something again and just sort of move down and be like, does the submachine something. Let's see, let's grab one that I have access to. Perfect. The Fennec. So I like choose that. I'm like, cool, all right. But now I'm not sure which SMG I'm gonna use, right? So then you go to Gunsmith, and then you're like, oh, what's the perfect setup? And that's really hard to figure out. So you shouldn't go immediately to like, what add-ons do you put on your gun? Because you have no idea what you like, what is gonna be meta, what you're gonna do well with. It's not sure. So it's always the thing to do is to start really broad, take 80%, test it, and see what works for you over time. You iterate, try and try again, getting more and more and more specific. Medium range, long range, short range, SMG, shotgun, SMG, or shotgun. Choose the one, and then what add-ons? Choose the ones. See ya, Damien. Violet. As a perfectionist, it can really hinder me, so the 80% rule will probably help with my confidence. Absolutely. The idea being that, real quick, we'll miss you, Damien. The idea being that when you are picking something, 80% rule is basically saying it's okay it's imperfect, because perfection is subjective. I've described this before as ice cream flavors, or like if I was gonna make the perfect ice cream, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess I like chocolate, right? But you might not like chocolate. But then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm really into chocolate. I spelled chocolate wrong, it's fine. Oh no, I didn't. Chocolate chip. Okay, right? Like, so now I know even more specific, but maybe I'm really into Ben and Jerry's chocolate chip, right? Like, it's this mix of ideas that you go through a set of options, and those options, chocolate chip, Ben and Jerry's chocolate chip, is like you doing 80%, a little bit more iterative, little bit more iterative each time. Iterative being you try one thing and then you try something a little bit different, but still with the lessons you learned previously. And that's what we see when we do stuff in the crossbow examples. When I take a shot, I'm kind of building a little cake, right? Or building a little ice cream, where I take a shot, I'm like, I'm trying vanilla, I'm trying chocolate. And then as I get a little better, I'm like, okay, I'm trying chocolate chip, trying mint chocolate chip, trying chocolate chip cookie dough, and then even more so, where I'm like, Ben & Jerry's chocolate chip. I don't know any more ice cream. I don't eat ice cream really, but that's that idea. So that is where choice becomes really valuable in flow state, because you need to be able to make quick choices to be able to access a flow state, which means you need that 80% rule. You make a choice, and then you get that feedback in that cycle. I just messed up my cycle motions. There we go. That cycle, or that cycle, however we go. That is what provides the flow experience, is the fact that you're able to then try something and get immediate, clear feedback. Try something, immediate, clear feedback. And with that in mind, I'm gonna try goofing off in a battle royale solo as an example of this. So I rarely play battle royale solos. The reason why is because, well, I think the feedback system is less good than it is in Plunder. But what I like about this is that it's a good opportunity to sort of like, it's harder, so you can test it a little bit differently. Yeah, that makes sense. Glad you feel that way, Violet. But that was, when we were looking at our questions, that was the 50% was in this one right here. So that's why I wanted to make sure, here, I'll duck, was the flow state with 80% good enough choices. Oh, I gotta duck more. But that's something that I want to make sure that I make it clear. And we'll talk about it more. We'll talk about the other ones more too. I'm definitely interested in making sure that the information sticks. So we can repeat, we can have new methods of explaining. If I die really quickly in this, I think that'll be a really good example of when we're talking about bad flow, like good flow, bad flow. In fact, actually, this would be a really good example, because even if we're successful, what happens when we die? We're done. So it can definitely change up the experience a little bit, because it's hard to get feedback when you just die. Versus in Plunder, you can get that feedback very quickly as you keep going back. But it'll be fun to kind of test a little bit. Pop on the headset. Let's see. One thing that I do appreciate, just to kind of go off into the meta discussions that we've had, this crossbow is really fun. Like, I really appreciate the fact that you can get a shot off and it's quiet. It can do like an instant kill. It seems like the best one for me personally has been the explosion. I've been trying the fire a little bit more because I think that it is better in regards to the fact that it's going to hit at a target and, well, just destroy the whatever car it's on, right? Like if it hits a target that's a car, it's going to be amazing. And if I get faster with the crossbow, then I know I can hit someone and just walk away and then they'll go plop eventually. This secondary weapon, the shotgun over there, looks like a coach gun. Is one of my favorite guns to use in this game. Basically a ridiculously long-range shotgun. It's not very good for Battle Royale, but it is very fun. See? That's a very far shot. It's kind of shooting in the general direction. Not really where they are. So if you haven't had a chance to try out the Battle Royale segments of Call of Duty, not just the Plunder, but the actual like BR stuff, I find it to be a really fun environment if you're not really trying to get better necessarily, because it has such a high cost for failure. You're out. Sometimes you'll go to the Gulag, right, and then you can fight again. But the Gulag, it tests different skills than you experience when you're playing this normally. And that's the kind of the big thing, is the skills that are being tested by this game are different. Oh, maybe we'll try to land on the train. the skills that are being tested are different when you're playing Battle Royale versus when you're playing Plunder. And those skills, for me personally, aren't what necessarily put me in flow. But I think it is good to still practice every once in a while to feel.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
Let's just take a hide here. Let them fight. New gun, UAV.
Request recon flyover.
Alright, there's a person at the back. There, I see them. Still there. See, this is an interesting experience too, where now suddenly every death is really important, which is a fun change, but it's an understandable where it's not very good for training. Oh. Right there, one shot miss, and now I have to go to the gulag to learn anything. It's a long trip. Tense to find this place, see what happens. Yeah. I mean, it's really fun from a perspective of like storytelling, where you start where there's like not a lot of action and then it builds and builds and builds. But I feel like I do that better in Plunder for me personally. Because a lot of times you'll see me do more intense play in like gunfight, which you've seen me play before here. And I found that gunfight gives me that level of intensity that I like in a battle royale, but it gives me the opportunity to learn from my mistakes better. Urzik's done.
Listen up, soldier. Win here and you return to the front.
See how we do, shall we?
But if you lose, you're done. Time to earn your freedom, soldier.
Saw their shadow. See, that's a gunfight, right? Like, and we've practiced a lot of gunfights here before, where you just look for the smallest pieces to figure out where your opponent is. We're in the circle. It works for me. This is a bank. Generally has a lot of money in it. Let's see if we can find anything in here. Well, I missed the roof. Oh, I found the second roof. Borrow that, thank you. I do like the experience of almost like a leveling up when you are running around collecting items. I think that is pretty fun. That's something that I've messed around with in Plunder too, because you can just run around and pick up items that you find as well. Oh. Welcome to the tenseness again.
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Just put that there. Why not?
Gas is closing in.
Circle's closing. Very tasty. I'm being quiet because I'm listening. That's another thing that I think makes me struggle a bit with the Battle Royale experience, is it's harder to present because in these cases I'm being a lot more careful. The cost of loss is so much higher. Alright, someone's on the roof. So if we go do this, we're gonna have a lot to play with. Makes you jump. I don't hear anyone still. And we'll continue on. 2 kills. The sniper rifle, I think I'll switch to that. Just to have something. And we ranked up, nice. So, someone's on the roof. I don't know where. I don't have my trusty little thing. It's weird to hear a gruff British man bark. You know, it's... Especially if you were, like, you remember and it's just a good memory. I get it. Alright, so our explosions are happening down below.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Oh no. There they are. Yeah, they should get out of here. So this is an example of when it would make sense to take the shot. But also, it's not very good for practicing in another way because I'm worried that people will know where I am located. Preventing my training. Alright, so you're fighting there. I guess we'll just move. Oh, they just got off the top because they're being shot at by yours truly. No money in that one. Gotta keep myself on my toes, listening for doors opening up behind us. Missed that shot. Oh, there was a person in there. Though this is working for training. It's not the best thing to do, but certainly a lot of fun. We have a minute to go before the circle closes. Is that player there still? It's interesting. Oh, there they go. Missed the shot. We hit that one. Random training as opposed to specific weapons? It can be. I think there are better versions of that in Call of Duty, because if I got taken out so quickly, I just accessed all of a sudden that I had to fight.
Wait.
Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone.
I think I need to mess with this loadout a little bit. There's two of them there. We were gonna get a crossbow eventually, right? That worked in our favor. It wasn't good to get shot, but we were able to get them to shoot at us. Still am missing them. It's right in front of us somewhere, though, according to the map. See them right there in the window down below? They were just running through there. Just in front of the other side of the building. Climbing up. Okay. I think gas starts heading in now.
Gas is inbound.
Try it. Oh, I can see them. But I lost sight of them now. Oh, look at that. We got a little window. Gotta say, that's a really well-designed window. That's pretty unfortunate, but very cool that it worked quite like that. This is definitely not the best play, but it's really fun. Oh, we're able to sense them, that they're looking at us now, though. I don't see them. I am very proud of that shot through the window. It was very cool. Rip to the other person. Totally. I don't think they're dead yet, though. I think they had a respawn. So they haven't disappeared yet. So, hey, Cuspa time. Totally. I'm not expecting success, but I am looking forward to joy. Switched off the crossbow for that one. Felt a little bit too problematic not to use that. Still silly, but a different type of silly. Alright, what we should be doing is picking ourselves up a UAV. That's what I see all the skilled players do. They grab themselves a UAV. Shots being fired. I don't know from where, though. There it is, up on the roof. That person's gonna have to jump down soon. I think that, yeah, that was them, okay. Yeah, they have to get down soon because of the smoke. Oh, poor fool.
Enemy soldier incoming.
I hear him. Got him. Another one of these. I need to level up to start looking. Oh, wait. Oh! Get back in the building. Hit that one. Hit that one. Oh, people are shooting big shots at us. We're just at the edge. We have our gas mask. Not a good position, but surprisingly doing very well. Which is making me feel very cool. Careful. Shots to the right. More shots to the right. So this is one of those things too where it's like a good weapon, enough good. Good enough is the technical term. For someone in a single player thing, because I don't have to worry about teammates.
Gas is closing. Get to the new safe
It's
zone.
interesting, 5 kills feels so much bigger when you're playing with crossbow. Just like feels more, even though it really wasn't that big of a deal. Alright, a UAV still sounds like a nice idea. We have 50 seconds to go in, so we'll probably use that car to do so. Oof.
Failure's a proper teacher.
Failure is a proper teacher. I would agree with that statement. But that is exactly where, like, so that was really fun. Definitely I had a good time. But what I learned there was not to buy something. That was all I really got, right? Versus before when it's like moving positions and that kind of thing. Like, I can't really take that lesson with me very easily. But that was cool. That was still definitely like it felt like we were doing really well. Totally. But yeah, like it felt like we were doing well. But that's why I like to play trios. But taking an opportunity to think about flow states again, because that's an important part of this. How was Battle Royale? I really enjoyed the feeling of oppressiveness of like, I need to always be on my toes. I also liked the fact that when I took out an opponent, it felt like a bigger event. It felt like I got them, and now I don't have to like pick anything up. I can just sit back. So when we're talking about stuff here, one more piece, which was BR only. Liked the stress, but I disliked the lack of learning. right? Like, it feels like a place where it's like a test, right? You don't learn during test taking, you learn during study. And it can be fun to use a test to see how you got to, but I wouldn't necessarily judge that I was less skilled because I got hit in the head by a sniper bullet, right? Like, I don't really feel quite like that. That wasn't a test that I liked being... Yeah, that wasn't a skill I liked being tested on, because it just was like, I should have just not done that. Versus in the case of Plunder, if that happened, it would set me back. And it would still get to play some, right? Or if you've ever done Stimulus, which was a battle royale, which as long as you had a certain amount of money in your pocket, you could then come back, which I thought was a brilliant idea. Because then it gets a real reason for people to do missions, because then it's like getting a life back. So I liked that a lot. That felt really good though. I definitely still liked it. I'm gonna now take us back to the game. I feel like urged to do it again, but I think I want to try Plunder again. Keep practicing the way we've been practicing. I'm going to update this to... Well, we should actually try no extra bolt. Just see what that feels like. See if there's some way we can increase the damage. Aim down sight speed. Movement speed, recoil, damage range, bolt velocity. Sight picture. Don't really care. Still a big fan of the explosion. Sleight of hand. So reloading quickly is really important with this one. But it would be interesting to try out. Let's see. Melee quickness. Frangible wounding. Doesn't do really any more damage. It's not like heavy hitting. So I'm less excited about it. Aiming stability. Might be nice. I don't know. We'll just try it without anything for the moment. Yeah, we'll try that. We'll just do a laser. But we should color it something fun. We've now moved into fashion Call of Duty. Little different. Welcome back, Damien. Yeah, Violet, I got you. I just, it's something where I learn to accept it. Though there are sites that I prefer it differently, for sure. I mean, when we talk about the concept of like flow for iterating and finding the right mix of something, it's definitely not something that's too much of a big deal to worry. But it is fun. Alright, so we're going to try just shooting these crossbow bolts without anything on the tip. I've so far missed both those shots. Not a good sign. Still working on it. Damien, I thought you had school. One thing I definitely dislike about using crossbows without anything on them is that this is why I like using the crossbow, is to have something on it that shoots into someone. I like that feature.
Enemy dropping into the AR. Warm-up's done. Time to kick this off.
So it feels a little silly, but the trade-off will be that it'll shoot farther and faster. In the case of using the crossbow outside of Warzone, like in normal Call of Duty, you will find yourself not needing it at all. Just bang, and then they take it out, and that's just fun. Ah, Violet. I thought of flow state in relation to yourself. There we go. Words. Drumming it in games. I'm comfortable having trust in my equipment. I find it easier to relax. And maybe flow. Yes. Well, remember flow state is where, like, drumming is good of a discussion because when you get into the music, like, it feels like when it feels like the music is going through you, less about you deciding what to do, but that the decision is made for you, that's a flow state. When I speak, I often have that feeling. Oh, we missed that shot. when I speak, I often get the feeling that I'm not really thinking about my next step. I'm just sort of doing. When we get into this fight, we'll see if I get that sensation again.
Got them. Keep moving.
Pop. Hide. Oh, I'm taking some good shots. We fired twice. It's gonna run across this. Oh, I fell! I had no idea where the person was. What does the WB do, Violet? I'm curious. I actually don't recognize that. So far, flow state with this, I haven't. It's kind of nice to be able to shoot harder, like faster. But I miss my explosions. But so far, each person that we've hit has been fine, right? Or like we haven't needed to do anything. I slowly reloading. Just wait. Just wait. Just no. Stop shooting. Just wait. That was funny. Welcome back. Ah, gotcha. Welcome back to Damien. Thank you for greeting Damien. Oh, people from behind. I missed that shot. That would have been a sweet shot. Let's see where that arrow goes when I take this moment to lay down and do this. Right over their head. Right over. It was a close one. Alright, Damien, you've been hopping off a little bit, and so I wanted to know, do you have a flow state question based off of what we talked about earlier? Or do you feel like you've been getting it just fine? Because I want to make sure that I don't leave you behind. What gun are they using? Military green. It looked cool. I was impressed. Violet, if you have a question as well, feel free. I just want to give Damien the reminder as well. Alright. Oh, I just went underneath. Just underneath. Alright. Claymores? Hello. Yeah, so far we're shooting the arrows. The drop's a little different. I'm not used to that part. Like, it shoots a little bit faster and straighter. What is also fun is you can actually pick up the crossbow bolts that you fire. You can return them. See that? It's a little bit ahead.
Your turn to die.
Your turn to die then, huh? Oh. Yeah, I'm a little off. Oh, we hit that person, but we didn't take him out. Good practice, though. I appreciate that they just stood there, letting us shoot at them.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
It is really fun to be able to just take a single shot to a person. That's, I think, what I like so much about it. Oh, I see them. Let me run to this side. I don't think that shot hit them. But I do miss the explosion. The explosion just does a nice additional bit of damage, too, which is a nice touch.
Dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Slightly in. Oh, and then just peeking their face out. What do they use? Return to dust. Oh, can you imagine taking that? Whew, there was no way I was going to be able to hit them with that. That was tight. A tough one for me, for sure. Alright, so we have a person here. Oh, we have a person behind us, too. Air combat. switch to these. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, I missed with those. Normally we hit them pretty well. Miss, miss, miss. Alright, so right now I'm feeling a little, again, being pulled out, but I think the major reason I'm being pulled away emotionally when doing this is because I'm not using the crossbow in the way that I'm used to it being. I'm used to it being a little bit slower of a shot, and so I'm having to relearn the arc of the crossbow, which is less fun, right? Like, once you feel like you've learned how to ride a bike, it sucks to have to relearn how to ride it. Oh, we hit him with the arrow. We can take him out. So that's an issue, right? As very much feeling that kind of struggle of like, I've learned to ride this bike. Why is it so hard to do this right now? Alright, we're gonna keep going though, because the important point is to just keep practicing. Gotta keep trying. Out of the air. Wow. Ooh. Someone else took them out too. Oof. Alright, Violet, do you have a question in regards to flow state with the 80%? Do you have a question in regards to maybe making choices? Or one of the other ones was like, why are games so good at doing this? Like, why games specifically? And the answer is like, well, it's also music. Uh-oh. We hit them with the arrow again. Doesn't stop them. Bang! That's pretty funny. What other ones did I have here that people were asking? Games, specifically pain relief with flow state, which is another really interesting one. All right, hold on, I'm going to land on this real quick. Oh, you can't. Okay, good to know. Oh, there's a person up there. Oh. Let's see, let's do this. Let's bob and weave. Bob and weave. Boop, boop. Ah, flow states that you've had. I'm curious. That death of ours. All right, I'm definitely feel like we're continually landing in places where it's hard for me to commit and take the shot the way that I want to do it. Oh, I think the other one is positioning, which we've talked a lot about. Oh, I gotta reload. Okay, there we go. Now I'm ready. We hit them. Again, we would need to have an explosion. Yeah, alright. I feel like confident that I need to have some sort of explosion to really make me feel good about this. Explosive tip. Pour moi. In chess. I was listening to a song I love and really seemed to help, so I left the song on repeat and won the match. Nice, good job. So, one of the, like when we talk about flow state and making decisions, you found yourself in a situation where your thoughts were purely on the act at hand, right? You're just like in the moment, is another phrase, in the zone. And those are exactly the things that would do flow states. Chess will do that, painting will do that, video games will do that. I think, can you describe like what the pieces were that made you feel like you were in a flow state? Gotta say, after a shot like that,
Dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
poof.
Enemy soldier
Just hiding in the claymores. Oh, someone else took him. All right, it's how fast it. And there goes a car, huh? Up.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Oh. Yep, I prefer it with the bolt. All right, just keep running down the hall. Ah, oh, bummer. A triple, yeah, like. I prefer it with the bolts and the explosion. Like, that was. We were kicking ass. We were doing great. It was really fun. My controller batteries are low. I'm gonna have to be careful about that. But it is a really interesting experience that was, right? Like, we've been having a lot of difficulty before taking shots. Oop. Bummer. Taking shots. Also, I forgot what you asked. Do you know what specific metrics, like things that you did that helped that flow state? So we know, for example, that you need good feedback. You need to be enjoying the skills that you're using. And then it needs to be the right challenge. So you need to have framed the experience in your mind a certain way. Can you describe what that framing was? Or those skills were? Like what those decisions were that made you feel this way? That person just died and crashing into the ground. Hey, what's up? Jeez. Yep. Like we did pretty well with the fire crossbow earlier too. Thank you. Let's get on the train.
Enemy soldier incoming.
If I hit that shot, would have been good. You're watching the stream and walking home? Technology these days, huh? That's a thing that, like, that's cool. I'm really glad that it works. Let's go left. let's take a moment to head over this way. Relax a little bit. I think after this one too, I'll probably do some of the more gunfights to like chill. Or a battle royale to completely unchill. Don't know which. And that's pretty far away. To our right though, we have a target. We can deposit here too. You're not sure, to be honest. Gotcha. That's okay. Like, that's part of this process, is learning what pieces influence that flow state. Like, that's why I keep talking about 80%, where it's like, I'm pretty sure this will work. I might not be 100% sure, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And in this case, right now, like, one of the things that we knew was that when I was using these other explosion bolts, I was having a hard time. Now, I think it's a little unfair for me to say that it was the switch to the bolts that made that situation happen. But they definitely aligned a little bit better with how I understand the passing of the bolt itself. But that's why I was like, okay, this isn't working. Let's try something a little different.
Target mark, send it.
This is loader 2-0.
I know for me to enter a flow state in chess, I need to have periods of time. Like, it needs to be like speed chess. Otherwise, I find myself being unsure of what decision I'm going to make next, because there's always a better decision if I wait a little longer. But if I have a period of time and I have to ration those decisions, it puts me into a state where I feel more comfortable choosing an imperfect decision, 80%, because I don't have to worry about being perfect. I keep doing the like the leaning, like, see what I mean? Huh? Kind of things, but of course it's me being silly. Huh, that was a weird lag thing. There's a lot of times people talk about sports putting them into flow states. So that's another thing to remember when you're thinking about, like, what is the state of flow that I'm feeling. is because if you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I have played soccer, and when I played soccer, I felt really like every single one of my movements aligned with my thoughts. So a lot of times when you're seeing me shoot and the like, I'm not actively thinking like, okay, line up the shot. I'm just sort of like, the thought to the hand is, there is no separation. It is just a straight flow of action. But we'll take a moment to absorb in a second. But I'm just getting little extra bits of cash while we're here. Having fun. Okay. Ooh. 10 seconds. I can't relate to that because I have asthma. Gotcha. Yeah, that would make it somewhat difficult. You can imagine it really though. It's, I think especially when I look at research about it, the general distinction is, sometimes you hear the joke where people are like, smooth brain, no thought. It's almost like the concept of like, you just have the, it's if someone throws a ball to you and you just catch it, right? Like you don't think about it. Those kind of things. Those actions that you just don't think about that just happen. That's one of the experiences I have with flow, which I definitely feel like when we're playing these games, we get to a couple times. Alright, so looking back at this stuff, I want to talk about flow state a little bit with the case of the different bolts we've been trying. So we had a lot of fun using crossbows in Battle Royale. Very fun. Even though it was something that I honestly did not expect to be as effective as it was. But then when we started messing with the crossbow bolt that exploded, again, the most joy. But we only really understood that is because we iterated through the process of being like, trying each one, because that's that 80% testy test. A bit like reflexes. Yeah, Violet, it is a little bit like a reflex. It's, at least it comes across as naturally as a bit of a reflex would. Where if you think about, I mean, one of the ways that like a martial artist or even like a chess master or a musician thinks about stuff, right? You think something like, I'm fixing my hair. It's all over the place with the green screen. You think about it where like a beginner is like, okay, a punch is coming, so I block and then I punch. And then a slightly higher skilled martial artist might be like, oh, I'll block and punch. And then even higher skilled will be like, I'm gonna block, punch, strike, strike, strike. And even higher ones, like I'm gonna block, punch, strike, 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 duck under it, next couple strike. Like they start thinking many moves ahead, and those moves alter the end outcome about what's gonna happen based upon positioning and standing and skill and the person tiring and that kind of thing. So if you play chess and you see someone starts with a certain move, you might know 3 moves ahead what you're gonna do. And painting, it's that kind of same thing. When I'm playing this and I'm seeing positionings of people, I know general feelings of when I'm going to shoot and that kind of thing. Not because I thought it, because in the case of flow, it was me. Like that's what I expressed. So I found I was able to get in those positions and those mindsets when I put on the explosion at the end of the bolt. Doesn't mean that someone else won't, like someone else might hate the crossbow completely and have no flow state from it. And that's okay. That's totally fine. Each person's able to do their own one. Also, hello Swamp Thing, it's nice to see you. Sports are very much where I'd experience flow states. Football, soccer if you must. Ah, no, we could call it football. And football. But I also fence, and flow is kind of key to that in a fight. Fencing, yes. I think a lot of fighting. You might, Swamp Thing, recognize that sensation of like thinking in single moves and then thinking in multiples of moves and then thinking in reactions in multiples of moves of opponents. But yeah, that feeling of like, don't think about your next move, just let yourself do the next move. And when we're playing this, I'm getting those same kind of sensations. I'm gonna move us to a very goofy version of what I consider a flow state, because I think it's really fun. We're gonna be doing a little bit of the gun game, because I think that's a very helpful one for it. This one's gonna be more of a relaxation. It's 2:10, so we're gonna start slowing down and chilling a little bit. and then we'll finish up the points because I want to make sure Swamp Thing also understands the 80% rule of stuff too. Tense but fun, totally. Actually, Swamp Thing, I'll give you just a quick while I'm waiting through this. So we had earlier talked about an answer to this question, right here. People were asking about, right, this. I'm trying to poke it. Poke. People were asking questions about flow state and the 80% rule. Basically, what does that mean in regards to making choices related to flow states? And what that means is that you work on using faster choices to get more feedback. So, feedback in flow states required. You need to have consistent quality feedback where you understand what's happening. A good example of this is like, that's how you figure out where your skill and what your challenge is. Or we've even talked about it from the perspective of like being a painter, and if you had no idea what you were painting or what the final thing looked like, you wouldn't have any idea on how to get better at painting. It's by the actual seeing each stroke that then you discover how to flow better or make the paint do what you want it to do. And so in the case of the 80% rule, when I am using a crossbow, if you can imagine that as almost like my brush, and I'm shooting it, it's like putting paint on the canvas. If I try to only put paint on the canvas when I'm 100% sure, or taking a shot when I'm 100% sure I'm gonna strike a target, then there's not a lot of situations that I'll be 100% sure because I'm a beginner, right? I'm just starting out. So I need to choose like when I'm maybe 80% sure, the 80% rule. When I'm not 100% sure it's a good idea, but I'm about 80% it's a good idea. So why not just give it a shot? That's the idea in a very quick nutshell, because we're going to be doing some gun game in a second to help do the calm down. But I'm curious to find out more about your opinions on that, if you recognize that. This is an automatic rifle. It is not, never mind. But it does have a cool little red effect when it shoots. So gun game, every time you take a shot, every time you get a kill, you'll switch to a different gun. And I really like it because we were talking about it earlier with Violet about random weapon training. This I think is the best form of random weapon training. Because when you lose, you get to continue to play with that weapon. You get to experience it a little bit more. Also, it means that if you take a bad position, you're not completely losing the entire match like you do in a battle royale. I have 32 shots still. Up! Crossfire doesn't count as me moving up though. I really like these gun games. I have a lot of fun with them. But you have to fire them off a couple times before you... What is this? It's shooting frag grenades? That's fun. What gun shoots frag grenades? Okay, this is a wall bang. Alright, it's a normal mag, it's a sniper rifle. Ouch. From behind. Mobby. I'm just listening for footsteps. And getting shot in the faces. Steps. Oof. Oh no, they were on the same weapon. Asunder is a fun name for a pistol. Whoa, that's some lag. Jeez. That would explain some of that challenge with that player. Okay, so this is an automatic weapon. Cool. This looks like another automatic. Iron sights. Okay. RPG? Okay. The 80% thing really resonates. I can agonize over decisions sometimes. I am happy to know that that is something that you can have resonate with you, because that's definitely, I think, the challenge for a lot of people, players included. Oh, we still got a promotion there. What's interesting about a mode like this is there's no real, like, you're constantly making poor decisions, but you're trying to make them the best that you can, right? Like, even though that wasn't the best time to shoot, it was worth firing. It was worth trying. Oh, look at that. We moved to first place. We were in 8th the last time I checked the spot. So, you eventually have to get a kill with a knife, like a throwing knife. So we've got a little bit of a ways to go. So we drop back into second. Show those legs, who's boss, huh? Alright, I'm gonna read your question in just a second. Alright, we got the sticks. We hit someone with a knife. It's our game. Yes, it really does open up the decision-making process. Feedback definitely helps in that way. Nope, missed that one. Nope, missed that one. I missed both knives. I want to give you a really good response to that. Let me just grab this real quick. I'm so bad with this. All right. Victory. Oh, third place. Wow, they got 2 knives. Impressive. So, the 80% thing really resonates. I'm glad. I can really agonize over decisions. So thinking about it in the 80% way really frees up that decision-making progress, if that makes sense. It does. It absolutely does. I mean, the idea from a, like, in the moment perspective, being able to make the choice, even though you know it's not perfect, is very, very helpful in being able to, as you talked about, get that feedback. So yeah, it sounds like I'm really glad that's resonating with you, because that's the idea. I'm going to give you another thing to put on top of it, because 80% rule works for in-the-moment decisions, whilst it also works really well for iterative decisions. If you've heard the term iterative, as in like, you have an idea, and then you put another idea on top of it, and another idea on top of it, and you iterate design. We talked about it in regards to if you're choosing a gun. So if I was going to go to weapons, and I'm like, what weapon do I want to use? I have assault rifles, I have, here, I'll switch back. I have assault rifles, I have SMGs, I have shotguns. What one do I do? What would be really hard to just be like, I'm going to use Model 680 with, I don't know, this breacher device on it. Like, that's a very nitty-gritty thing. So the first thing you do is you pick the 80% of something up here, right? Where you're like, I guess, close range, so SMG or shotgun. And then you test that for a little while with whatever one you picked. It could be this one, and then later on you move through the other options till eventually you get to that point where you're like, oh, I know that I want to play this gun for whatever reason. So that iterative design moves through sort of like a pyramid, where first you start in the bigger general groups like long range, medium range, short, and then you start going into more specifics, and then more specifics, and then more specific, and each time getting a lot closer to what is the perfect thing for you to play. What is your perfect style? And I mean, perfection also is subjective, which is another point of the 80% thing. You're not trying to get perfection, you're trying to get just really good enough. Also, I really like this night vision thing. This is fun. It makes the gun firing really interesting. I don't like how it tilts the gun over to the side, though, to fire. That's confusing for me. I have to aim really low. Looks like all the guns do that, too. Huh. I gotta get used to that. Battlefield 3, the final kill was a handheld knife. Yes, that is tough. That train overhead sounds like a parachute coming by, which got me looking upwards to be like, where am I going to have to deal with someone coming from above? So I've never seen this weapon with slugs really before. So I'm pretty curious to experience it, because this is the second time we've actually ran with it. I've used this shotgun many times, but I've not really a slug user with it. So trying to find that flow state again with just randomness. Fun. Oh, that person. This gun feels like I'm holding a miniature cannon. There's a target. Miss both shots. Good day, good day. Someone's already on the last weapon? Woof. I hardly moved past this one. Sometimes in game design, there's a thing known as pinch point, and that gun feels like it was a pinch point. Like I saw a lot of people stuck on it. So it's where difficulty spikes, and then it turns back to less difficult. I think the other issue is the sideways aiming. I'm not used to using just a sort of sideways shot to know where I'm targeting. Oh! Boom. This is very interesting because someone is on the knife, but hasn't been able to get anybody with it yet. Because I was going to be their target. They wanted me. Oops. That perfectly timed. Bounced along the ground? What a shot. Very classy. We didn't do very well that one. Last time we got in the top 3. This time I was the worst. Yes, rip. Totally. It happens sometimes. I think I'm going to move it to the gunfight as our final bit. Nah, you know what? Yeah. Because I like the intensity and quiet. The intensity and quiet. And that one I was feeling a little bit too much. So... But let's see, Swamp Thing, do you understand the concept that I was getting to with like the meta version as well as 80%? Just making sure that you're on the same page, not on the spot or anything. If you're like, fine, then that's cool too. Violet, what about you? And Damien, what about you? And if anybody else is in chat. I don't look at the numbers, that's why I'm asking that. A streaming thing that I recommend, that I've seen other people talk about is avoid looking at your numbers, because what matters most is who's in chat, like talking. Not that people who are not paying attention aren't important, but when you focus on just who's talking, it can make a chat of, 1,000 feel like a chat of 5, or a chat of 5 feel, chat of 1,000 kind of thing. And that's an important bit that I try to think about. Violet, you feel like you're understanding? Good.
Let's get this done.
All right. Oh, we're joining a team where we're losing a lot, it looks like. The reference to meta? No worries. We've round lost. So the concept of the meta one was the idea that you iterate by 80%. So 80% is also just sort of a fake number. It's not a literal, like, you need to calculate out a perfect 80%. It's an idea of that, like, an idea doesn't need to be perfect, but good enough. I didn't kill them, but we took some damage. But good enough. And then you can make good enough decisions repeatedly, and they build up on each other. And when they build up on each other, then those 80% get more and more accurate. Hello, Stadia Pro Gaming. I have no idea. I don't work with Monolith Productions anymore. So I don't have an answer for you on that one. Welcome to the stream, though. I always think it's very fun when people are like, Shadow of War! So the meta concepts, I'm going to pop back to this again because we were using this example of weapons. Like if you're choosing a weapon in Call of Duty, well, the decision of long range, medium range, or short range, you might not know the perfect choice for you, but you choose something in that. And then you move down to SMG or shotgun. In this example, we can do it in the weapon system itself, where you're like, oh, am I shotgun? Am I SMG because that's close range? Am I more long range and mid range like LMG and assault rifle? Am I more great long range with sniper and marksman rifle? And then you move through those steps to be like, maybe I'm a sniper. And then I move you into Dragunov, and then I'm like, what? Which sniper am I? Am I this one? Am I this one? Am I this one? And then you make another 80% choice. And eventually you're like, okay, I guess I'm this one. And then you make another 80% quote-unquote choice through here as well. The goal being that you're trying to build yourself to a better designed concept by choosing the perfect 80% through each level. And then you get something that's way better than if you had just did your best to pick the perfect thing the first time. I'm going to read Stadia Pro Gaming stuff. I was hoping you heard something. I have not heard anything. That is where I found you, is the Shadow War. Oh, very cool, Stadia. Well, thank you for coming by and hanging out. We're now talking primarily about doing things in regards to flow states and using Call of Duty to help us get to those flow states. So flow state being, you know, when your skill level, I'm going to pull up my graph because I love this graph. Your skill level, which is right here, whoop, and your challenges that you're going against go along this line. And then when you're skilled enough and have enough challenge, you end up getting this flow state, which is a really useful spot where you feel like pain goes away, you become more effective, more focused, and also have a good time. Will I am. That's a really cool way to do class building. Welcome. Nice to see you. Yes, that is a way that we do class building as well. And then, oh yeah, gotcha. Good to hear. Swamp Thing. You're now the king here. So, anyway, to all the people showing up, hello, Will.am. How's Stadia? Stadia, I stream around 1 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time. I think I should probably start making it where I align it so you could just check at the channel and see that one's coming. I just don't work on thumbnails early, and I guess I will make that decision now to change that. Well, yeah. That's this. Right now we're kind of winding down because I normally stop at about 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. And so I'm kind of using this as sort of my flow state relaxation, where I'm moving to a place where I just let the world influence my next thoughts. I'm responding only. I'm reacting only. It's pretty fun. I like the sort of intensity that this provides. Good shots. I like how this person throws soap bullets. Hello. I'm new. Uh-oh. Bad choice.
Put it behind you. We got work to do.
I'm feeling the weight of the, like, this is a thing that is also important to note about flow state or anything. You have an endurance level of focus that you can do, and I'm feeling that endurance focus shrink, and that's okay. That's super normal. So that's why we're switching to something that's kind of a break. That's kind of a break, so I can relax. You found this channel through the Hades video. Ah, Violet, that was an intense video for me. Talking about hair.
Last man standing. Finish it.
I like to go silent during these ones.
10 seconds. Objective on the
Oh, I missed that shot. Whew. But that's part of the relaxation. It's just like shutting off the head. Oh, that fire. They shot the pole. I shouldn't have been hit. I am Willie Invader from Steam. You rated my shadow. Really? You had all bards? Oh, that's very cool, Stadia. That was a fun one. I remember that. That was very noisy in a good way. Very noisy in a good way.
More where that came from.
I'm glad you'll be watching for when I go live, Stadia. I appreciate that. I want to take a note here. How interesting is the reaction when I stop talking and I go back to this? How much more speedy I can react to things. That's another flow state bit. You let yourself enter it. That person even had the drop on me. Let yourself enter it, right? It's a weird experience when described that way for me. Becomes a system of how to let yourself not be focused on what's happening around you and let yourself sort of land in somewhere new. That sounded funny. Let me try that again, phrase-wise. There we go. Stream ending soon. Perfect. Got the dub, yes. Is there a chance I can have a name of the Xbox account you use in Shadow of War because I still play and want to invade? I don't remember what it was. You'd probably have more chance, Will.i.am, if you go to the Shadow of War Discord, the one that's Monolith Production specifically. Ask them. Because I don't remember the name. It was like Monolith something. Fortunately, I don't know it off the top of my head. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a while. Whew, let's knock this over. So, stream, ending soon. Thank you all for coming by. It was a joy to see you, Stadia, Will.i.am, Swamp Thing. You guys coming towards the end. Totally cool, good to have you. Violet and Damien, thank you for being here early. I mean, on time. It's not early. But it was really fun to have you here. This is a good opportunity for me to kind of check again as a final little bit of like flow state, 80% rule. We talked about that today. And the point of it is that it makes you have faster choices so that you get that feedback, and that feedback helps you access that flow state. You'll see below me in the description, there will be a paper that talks about why flow state needs to have the feedback and like what ways people tested that, as well as you will see a video from Hank Green about the 80% rule that he experiences. And this is what kind of started me thinking about it. It's more in depth to the concept of like content development. So like if you wanted to start a live stream or if you wanted to start a business, rather than about making decisions or accessing flow state, it still has a lot of the similar kind of concepts. So I encourage you to spend the 4 minutes or less, depending on the length of that video, to just check it out, because that was a big inspiration for the idea of just like preventing your decisions from being a hurdle. There we go. Any vinyl questions? Vinyl questions. Vinyl, like a record vinyl. Any final questions? I'm gonna take an opportunity to drink some water again. While I wait for a question, I'm going to mention that from trying to stream as much as I am now, I have to reteach myself how to talk from my diaphragm. Talking from below so I don't hurt my voice. And I totally forgot about it because I hit a flow state while we're playing and streaming and stuff. With you, talking with you puts me in a state because I don't think about my next thoughts exactly. I think about the concept, but not exactly what I'm going to say. And that's fun. And so I end up forgetting. So interesting, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Stadia Pro Gaming. That makes me feel really good. How am I doing? Will.i.am, thank you for asking. I think I'm going to be doing well. I'm doing well now. I mentioned in the last stream that I was... oh, look, it's nighttime now around me. I mentioned in the last stream that it was about purpose, and that was because there was a job interview I'd been a part of that didn't quite work out. But I still felt okay because I realized that I'm understanding what puts me in a state of flow and the skills that I like. So even though I'm not doing, like, I don't have that job title, I feel like I'm going to be doing the thing that I wanted to do within that job anyway. So that made me feel better, and doing this now gives me that same feeling. So I'm feeling good and will continue to do better. That's my answer. I'm gonna look at my hair again. It's funny because I have the camera here, but a screen here. I think that's a great question, Stadia, and let's talk about that a little bit. What breaks your flow state the most? The environment you in. So there's a lot of different ways to break a flow state. A lot of different ways. And there are a lot of different ways to enter them too. So for Stadia, everybody who, since Stadia is new, I'm going to give them a kind of another walkthrough on kind of what Axis flow state kind of feels like, and then why that can break it. So this graph that we talked about earlier, see over my head where it says challenges and then skills right here? So if you look at this word in front of me, apathy, apathy is the sensation of we're like, I have no interest. Boredom is like, this is boring, right? Relaxation means it's easy, I can handle it. Control is like, it's not relaxing, but I have it. Flow is this like lovely state. Basically, if you are so skilled that the challenge that you're hitting puts you in apathetic state, like you're super skilled and it's just not that hard, it's just like, I don't care. So I'm super skilled over here, but it's not very hard of a challenge, so I'm relaxed. Or it's super hard and I'm not very skilled. I get really anxious. I'm very uncomfortable. All these places here, boredom, apathy, worry, anxiety, are all broken flow states. So if the environment makes it harder for you to perform at your best, lowering your skill, then you might get anxious. Or if the challenge is too high, or if there are things outside of your control. Generally, for a flow state to work, you need to have control, you need to have good feedback, and you need to enjoy what you're doing. And control generally means that when you do something, or actually, no, it's not just that. It's also knowing what it is to succeed, right? Like, if you don't know how to succeed, and you can't force yourself to succeed, and you can't figure out if you're getting feedback that's heading the right direction, those will break them too. But they generally break them because in some way they make the challenge too hard, or they make your skills lower, and that breaks flow states. So, but for me, I mean, anything that causes those kind of situations, if you meant me specifically, a challenge that's too tough, that'll break it. Cool. So with that, I think I'm going to end up this part. Thank you very much for everyone coming by. Stadia, Will.i.am, Violet, Damien, Swamp Thing, thank you. Final question. I see that is incredible to break it down that way. Well, it wasn't me. It was someone else actually did it. Flow states, if you look on the internet, you'll find a lot from a guy named Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. I think it's how you say his name. Csikszentmihalyi. Anyway, got some great TED Talks on the subject. And then TED Talks, great on flow as well. So hang out with me tomorrow to learn more about flow state. Check it out yourself. I'll include some more links and things below. Everybody, I recommend a little bit of homework and watch the Hank Green video. All right, see you, Swamp Thing. See you, everyone. You've been lovely. I'll turn off now.